For an emergency broadcast, attention, this is not a drill. This is not exaggeration. This is not a screaming headline. There is a coup d'etat underway in the United States and across the world. And we have been conditioned and trained to believe and think that the invasion of a country and the takeover of foreign territory can only happen through war. This is happening through treaties and fundamentally through treason by our nation and other nations around the world. We have warned about this. We have talked about this. It is now happening as we speak. The Biden administration is negotiating deal to give WHO authority over U.S. pandemic policies. New international health accord avoids necessary Senate approval. Okay, we have reported on this months ago when they negotiated the draft and the framework of this new pandemic treaty. I will run you through this article, but let me just give you a quick overview. For the first time in the world's history, if this goes through as planned, 194 nations on February 27th will sign over their national sovereignty to an unelected private body, basically a private body. The World Health Organization is basically a private body. It's not a nation. We don't elect its board. We don't elect its chief executive officer. We have no oversight. On February 27th, they plan to sign sovereignty over to the World Health Organization. This is basically a world government coming in through the back door. No war, not in the classic sense. So let me run you through this article here. Again, this is not a drill. Please take this seriously. I will explain why. The Biden administration is preparing to sign up the United States to a legally binding accord with the World Health Organization that would give the Geneva-based UN subsidiary the authority to dictate America's policies during a pandemic. Okay, let's go on here. Please stay focused. These discussions and others spawned the zero draft of a pandemic treaty published on February 1st, which now seeks ratification by all 194 WHO member states. A meeting of the WHO's intergovernmental negotiating body is scheduled for February 27 to work out the final terms, which all members will then sign. Written under the banner of the World Together Equitably, the zero draft grants the WHO power to declare and manage a global pandemic emergency. Once a health emergency is declared, all signatories, including the United States, would submit to the authority of the WHO regarding treatments, government regulations such as lockdowns and vaccine mandates, global supply chains, and monitoring and surveillance of populations. Now you have to hear this and comprehend this for what this is. This is a UN worldwide takeover. It gives the WHO the authority to declare a pandemic, declare a public health emergency. They can declare it on their own accord and then manage it. And they basically get authority over all of the nation's responses. The United States today, on February 20th, 2023, is still under the COVID national emergency 3 years later. This would mean in turn that the WHO would have complete authority basically over public life and private life of the United States for 3 years, or however long they deem necessary. Please understand that this is a coup d'etat. This is not just a treaty. This is not just some sort of agreement where we're going to work together. This is a legally binding contract that circumvents our governing bodies that circumvents Congress because it is effective immediately upon signature, which is completely unconstitutional, but we'll get into that. They want to see a centralized vaccine and medication-based response and a very restrictive response in terms of controlling populations. David Bett, a public health physician and former WHO staffer specializing in epidemic policy, told the Epoch Times. They get to decide what is a health emergency, and they're putting in place a surveillance mechanism that will ensure that there are potential emergencies to declare. Listen closely. The WHO Pandemic Treaty is part of a two-track effort coinciding with an initiative by the World Health Assembly to create new global pandemic regulations that would also supersede the laws of member states. The WHA is the rulemaking body of the WHO, comprised of representatives from the member states. Circumventing America's Constitution, we got to get into this too. A key question surrounding the accord is whether the Biden administration can bind America to treaties and agreements without the consent of the U.S. Senate, which is required under the Constitution. The Zero Draft concedes that per international law, treaties between countries must be ratified by national legislatures, thus respecting the right of their citizens to consent. However, the draft also includes a clause that the accord will go into effect on a provisional basis as soon as it is signed by delegates to the WHO, and therefore it will be legally binding on members without being ratified by legislatures, which basically means they're going to sign this and there's nothing you can do about it, and it's going to go provisionally into effect until it goes through the processes, which can take years. It will be in effect. This is the kind of code red alert emergency that we're being distracted from with all the other stuff that's going on. This is the one thing, if you have lived through the past 3 years, if you have just a little bit of memory, you know what that means. This is COVID pandemic response on steroids, Take the worst country with the worst lockdowns, the worst mandates, the strictest treatment of the people, beating, locking them up, putting them in concentration camps. That's going to be the course of action. Well, who funds the WHO? Yes, the member states. Who's the second largest donor of the WHO? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. China on its heels. Do you know what that means? This is a coup d'etat. That you can't name it anything else. Don't underestimate the power of what this means. They can declare a pandemic over anything. And the WHO has a horrific track record of alleged crimes against humanity. I encourage you to watch Dr. Andy Wakefield movies. Just his recent one, Infertility. Go watch it. See what these programs do around the world. The call to action is first and foremost here. You have to disseminate this information immediately. Nothing matters more than this in this moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing matters more than this dissemination of information within a few days, a few short days. It's February 20th. We need to get the awareness of millions and millions of people. We need to have a Project Veritas kind of, the last video that got 50 million views, that's the kind of attention that this topic needs. And we need to all be out on the streets, millions of people, making sure that this never gets signed. This is the end of any national sovereignty that might be left. And this is the kind of criminal behavior that is now normalcy in government. This is the New World Order, friends. This is it. This is the moment. Not 2030, not 2040, not down the line. The New World Order is here, and this is it. I've read the Constitution of the World Health Organization. I have read the governing documents. I have read the amendments that were put into place earlier last year. It doesn't say anything about your consent. Your informed opinion is appreciated, that's all. Your consent is not asked for. It doesn't show up anywhere. As a matter of fact, it says here, the organization shall enjoy in the territory of each member state such legal capacity as may be necessary for the fulfillment of its objectives and for the exercise of its functions. That's it. They claim they can have full authority for whatever they need to fulfill their objectives. There was a president not too long ago that canceled the United States membership from the WHO. Was one of the greatest moves ever made. Just like we should leave the UN and preferably NATO. But this today, I can't stress this enough, this today is the single most important thing that is happening in the world today. Forget the Ukraine for a moment, even forget Ohio, forget the spy balloons, forget the horrific suffering of the people in Turkey and Syria as they are have had a catastrophe happen to them. For the moment, forget all of these things and focus on this one subject. If the United States signs, and your country, wherever you live, this treaty, and it goes into effect, we are effectively under the New World Order, and all it takes is to declare a pandemic by a body you have no control over. They can do it at any time, and you are then subject to their authority. Your nation must legally comply with whatever they want. Vaccine mandates, door-to-door, lock-up, concentration camps, whatever they want. And now go back over the last 3 years and just watch what the WHO has called for during the last 3 years. And then go back and look at all their initiatives in Africa, the humanitarian initiatives that left people. I can't go there. I can't go there, but you can look all of that up. Please share this with absolutely everyone you know. The Mockingbird media is keeping it quiet, or they're spinning it so that you don't even know what is happening. This Epoch Times article here puts it out perfectly. This needs to be spread ASAP. Start organizing, start protesting, call your representative. I don't care what you believe about politics. I don't care what you believe about government right now. I don't care. We need to do anything we can. Call everybody. Call your governor. Block this. We need to block this. Where the New World Order is here. And trying to reverse that is damn near impossible. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't stress this enough. This is not a drill. This is the real deal. Please, please, do your part today. Thank you.